Good evening and welcome. Tonight we celebrate the Festival of Lights, a very special event for every Fijian of the Hindu faith. And thus we bring you a Diwali special on For the Record. And tonight we're speaking with Dr. Rajesh Maharaj. He is a senior member of the Hare Krishna movement of Fiji and a member of the Sanatan Dharm Pratinidhi Sabha of Fiji, as well as a general practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tonight we'd like to discuss, among other things, the significance of Diwali. For someone who may not be aware, although it's highly doubtful, since Diwali seems to be, it is a national celebration, it's a public holiday. And even for someone who isn't of the Hindu faith, you'll see them celebrating in their own way, one way or the other. But what is Diwali? Talk to us about the significance of Diwali.
Thank you. First of all, Diwali we know is a festival of lights. And the origin of this particular festival, it started when Lord Ram returns from the exile, and we know during Lord Ram's reign, when he was in India in a place called Ayodhya, he came to perform his pastimes, and as a result of that, through his pastimes, he teaches a lot of things to us. And he was exiled for 14 years, and there was a number of reasons why he was exiled. One of them was because there were a lot of demons in the forest who were causing a lot of suffering and trouble to the saintly people, and therefore he went into the forest to banish them. And of course, a lot of people already know that his wife, Mother Sita, was kidnapped by Ravan. And he fought vehemently to get Mother Sita back, and as a matter of duty and as a matter of protection to his wife, he killed Ravan and returned. So when he returned to Ayodhya, and people were really overjoyed because the people of Ayodhya, they love Lord Ram so much. They were really looking forward for his return. So when he returned, then people lit up the place with, that time it was mostly diyas, ghee lamps. So they lit up the place, they cleaned up the place, they decorated the place, and Lord Ram returns. And since then, Diwali has been celebrated all over India, and in fact now it's all over the world.
So it's quite symbolic in the sense that it's the triumph of light over evil, good over darkness and all of that. There's also the significance of wealth and prosperity that comes into play. Like you mentioned, there are many aspects to Diwali. Talk to us about the significance of the prosperous celebrations that take place.
Yes, sure. Of course, as you mentioned, triumph of good over evil. Perhaps I should start by what killing of Ravan, what does really signifies. The actual one aspect of Diwali is that we light up the place, we dispel the darkness, and that aspect signifies that the deeper meaning is that the traditional practices, our prayer, meditation, sharing food, sanctified food. All these practices, these spiritual practices, is meant to clean our heart. It's meant to dispel the darkness in our heart. And Ravan signifies lust, greed, anger, pride, ego, ignorance. So Lord Ram kills Ravan, and Diwali, ultimately, the deeper meaning, it signifies that we take part in prayer and religious practices to clean our heart and to develop that love for one another.
So I'd like to know how all of that is translated into celebrations around Fiji, around the world. People, celebrate in different ways. In Fiji, we have this very unique way of celebrating it. The sweets and the firecrackers. But if someone were to celebrate it in the most traditional way, if you were to take away everything else, how would you celebrate it? What's the right way?
Yes, that's a good thought. If it were to celebrate it in the most traditional way, then it will be basically just ghee lamps, the diyas, because at that time there was no candles and there was no electrical lights. So that will be the traditional way. And of course, Diwali is a time which depicts ideal Vedic culture, whereby we invite people into our homes and share food and share our experiences, and we glorify God in the name in the form of prayers and meditation.
Something like that would of course take a lot of time, and surprisingly, we did a little bit of research. We talked to some people around the country, and a lot of people are still not aware that Diwali is not a single-day event. It's a multi-day event. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, it is a multi-day event. It's a 5-day celebration. The first day is it's called Dhanteras. That's when Lord Dhanvantari is worshipped, and then the next day is they call it well, that's the day when Lord Krishna killed a demon called Narkasur. So one of the reasons why South Indians celebrate Diwali is because Lord Krishna killed Narkasur. And then the third day is the actual Deepavali, which is the day we worship goddess of fortune. And the fourth day is worship of a very sacred hill called Govardhan Hill, which is still very much present in the Mathura district. And Govardhan Hill is the hill that was lifted by Lord Krishna when he was 7 years old. And the reason he did that was there was a lot of rain sent by Lord Indra, who is the Lord of the rains, from the heaven. And Lord Krishna lifted the hill to protect his devotees. And after that, the last day is Bhai Dooj, when the brothers and the sisters they invite each other to their homes.
Right. So there are so many aspects of faith behind this. When we come back in the next segment, we'd like to talk about the significance of the light and. Welcome back. Let's talk about the significance of the lighting of the diya, Dr. Maharaj.
Okay, as I already mentioned, that means when we are lighting diya, and Diwali happens to fall on the darkest night of this particular month. In fact, this particular month, in Sanskrit it's called Amavas. In Vedic tradition, the month is divided in two parts. One, we have the moonlight, and then the dark night. So this particular month, Kartik month, on the 15th day of the dark month, Diwali falls, and it's the darkest day of the year, and we light diya and candles and to dispel the darkness, and secondly, light signifies knowledge, both divine knowledge and of course our day-to-day knowledge, our education. So Diwali also signifies divine knowledge, in other words, because on this particular day we worship goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi. And Mother Lakshmi, she represents Lord's internal energy. Lord has three energies. First is internal energy, second is external energy, which is this material world that we are seeing around us. And the third one is marginal energy, which is you and I, the living entities. Each of us are our living entity. We are soul, and the soul is the marginal energy. So goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi, she represents divine energy. So we worship her so that we through prayer and meditation we worship her, and that is for our inner self, our cleanliness of our inner self. In other words, cleaning or raising our consciousness and cleaning our mind so that we become a better person. So that's one reason why goddess of fortune is worshipped, and and the second reason that we worship goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi, is for wealth and prosperity, because she's the one who gives us wealth and prosperity. So, and she is wife of Lord Narayan. So in fact, the actual understanding is that we don't only worship Mother Lakshmi separately, but we worship we worship her with Lord Narayan. And one thing that I would like to say is she likes cleanliness very much. So that's why you see in Fiji, lot of us, we clean our houses, we clean our environment, and during Deepavali you see that
It marks the start of the Diwali season when everyone starts to clean up.
Everyone starts to clean up, and the environment is taken care of, and that is one very important message that I would like to give to our people. And we see, I'm sure you would agree, we see that other times there's so much of rubbish thrown around everywhere, plastics, plastic bottles, into the drains, on the streets. And we live in such a beautiful country. I think this is a very strong message that I like to give, that why don't we keep this spirit of Diwali going in terms of our environmental cleanness. And if we keep our house, our environment, and of course in our inner self clean, then that invites goddess of fortune into our lives and into our homes, and then we will be rich, our country will be rich.
Diwali is also known as the Indian New Year for most. They say that it signifies the start of the new year for them. Why is that?
Well, thank you very much, because it marks the beginning of the harvesting season. So there is harvesting season in India, so as a result, as a way to express gratitude to Lord, what He has given us, whatever we harvest, we first use the initial harvest in prayers, and we also distribute that to people. So that's why.
So I know we spoke about the worship of the goddess Lakshmi in this segment, but I'd like to, if we can, just go back to the earlier segment where we spoke about, what it signifies, goodness over evil. And so when we talk about Ravan and Ram and the struggle that was, between them, it's not just their physical embodiment, it's the embodiment of the ideals that you spoke about, right? Like, for example, Ravan is the embodiment of ideals such as arrogance and greed and pride.
Right.
So talk to us about some of the underlying ideals behind the worship of Ram.
Thank you. Lord Ram, when he came in Ayodhya, through his pastimes, he has shown us that he was an ideal son. The reason why he accepted exile was because he had to do that so that his father's wish, his father had given 2 wishes to his wife, Mother Kekei, and Mother Kekei, she opted that Lord Ram to go to the forest and her son to Bharat to be the leader, and Lord Ram accepted. Bharat was his brother, so Lord Ram, he said, I have no problems, and just because as long as my father's wish is fulfilled, I am happy to go to exile. So in other words, service to his parents and respect for his father. So he's an ideal son. He's an ideal son, he's an ideal husband, he's an ideal king. He was a very, very righteous and a very loving, compassionate and a caring king, a leader.
Allow us to digress a little bit, but it seems like those ideals are no longer being practiced by the youth of today. I mean, you'd think that in a time like Diwali, when you are praying to goddess and goddesses who embody these ideals, that you would practice those same ideologies, but it seems it's not being reflected.
Yes, unfortunately, that is the unfortunate thing about this dark age, whereby the spiritual practices and religiosity is declining by the day, and Diwali is a festival which reminds us of that. That's something that we should uphold, and if we do not, then our future is not looking good. So that's why I say that importance of prayer, importance of reminding, as you mentioned, reminding ourselves about these great personalities, reading about them, and see or or try and bring that into our lives.
Right. So, in fact, it's a good way to end this segment, because when we come back, we'd like to talk about some of the more important themes that should be coming out from the celebration of Diwali. Stay with us. We'll come back right after a short break. Welcome back. So let's, Dr. Maharaj, talk about some of the important themes that should come out from the celebration of Diwali. One of the very interesting aspects we were talking about is the fact that the puja, or the main prayer that is done, is to a female deity, right? It's to Goddess Lakshmi.
Yes.
So let's start off from there. Let's have that as our starting point. What theme should we derive from that?
Thank you. As I said, Goddess of Fortune, Mother Lakshmi, she, in actual fact, she is the feminine form of God. If people do not know that God has a feminine form, she is the feminine form of God. Mother Lakshmi, Mother Sita, and Srimati Radharani. So Mother Lakshmi is the eternal consort of Lord Narayan, Srimati Radharani is the eternal consort of Lord Krishna, and Sita Devi is eternal consort of Lord Ram. And the three of them, they represent devotional energy. In fact, our prayer, the mood of prayer, our devotion to God comes from Mother Lakshmi. So, so that's why it is important that we. One of the take-home messages of Diwali is that respect for women. In Vedic culture, all across the Vedic teachings, women are given a lot of respect and protection and care and love, and that's something that that we should learn from Diwali and continue to do, continue to practice, in our own lives. It's not that just only around Diwali we worship Mother Lakshmi, and other times we forget. And in fact, the Vedic teachings, SP Vedic teachings, women, or our wives, our daughters, they represent Goddess of Fortune. The Hindus know that they represent a Goddess of Fortune, so that's why they should be respected and taken care of. So that's the first message.
Well, it's rather interesting that you should say that, not to cast a dark spell over this wonderful occasion, but looking at some of the numbers that were released by the DPP over the year, we've seen that violence against women has pretty much escalated, as well as sexual abuse. And people who call themselves, who we would like to call hypocrites right out, who only give women a pedestal only in this particular point in time, what's the message to them?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying, and that's very unfortunate that society, women are not given the respect and the love and the care and the protection. But once again, I just like to reiterate that if we are not doing that, somebody who is abusing anybody for that matter, and of course abusing of women and children, that carries a very heavy karma, if I can say, that it. God is not going to forgive you for that, because men, I would like to say to all the men that we are given this responsibility to protect women, and I think we should exercise our responsibility. So that's something that that's an important message for our young generation.
So in the last segment, one of our topics was the life of Sri Lord Ram.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, I'm not sure if I'm using this correctly, it's the title that he was often referred to as Maryada Purushottam.
Yes, you're right.
And I know that is sort of like the ideal standard that men should strive to live towards, right? So in this theme, when we're discussing respect for women, other issues like non-violence and good over evil, talk to us about that, about the idea of Maryada Purushottam.
Okay, Maryada Purushottam, as you said, Purush Uttam means Supreme Lord, and Maryada means one who has the right ideals. So I already mentioned that he was the ideal king and ideal husband, ideal brother, ideal friend. And when he performed his pastimes, and in fact, even his pastimes that he performed Ramayana now is available on the net. Ramayana is available in English, and when we read about his transcendental pastime, in fact, it is, it gives us a lot of not only satisfaction, but there is a lot of things to learn from Lord Ram's pastimes, and as I mentioned, because when the unfortunate incident happened, when Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, and again it was the circumstance was such. I mean, we don't have enough time to go into the details, but the circumstance was such that she was left unprotected, and that's why in Vedic culture women are meant to be protected. If women are not protected, then they will be abused, and so that was the unfortunate situation, and Ravan kidnapped, and of course this was part of his pastimes, transcendental pastime. But to show the society, he went out of his way to kill Ravan and bring Sita back as a matter of duty. And that's what religion is. That's what religion is all about. Religion does not mean just rituals. It means our duty. Religion and Diwali, it's a day-to-day thing. To me, every day is Diwali. Like Diwali message, I try and follow and practice whatever I have learned every day.
Now, interesting that you said that about religion and learning all the ideals from that, but one does not necessarily have to be a follower of the Hindu faith to pick out all these important messages that are in scriptural scriptures, that
Yes.
is like the Ramayana. You've mentioned that it's available on the internet. You've got multiple TV series and movies with
Yes.
subtitles for those who are not familiar with the Hindi language. What are some other ideals in terms of gaining knowledge? I know that Mother Saraswati, she's also a goddess, who is also
Yes.
another embodiment of Goddess
education,
Lakshmi. Yeah, of
education
Lakshmi.
and
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, Mother Saraswati, she's an expansion of Lakshmi, actually, and even Goddess Parvati is also expansion of Lakshmi. Education, as I already mentioned, our day-to-day education, as to how education that we get, to have a living, and also divine education. It comes from Mother Saraswati or Mother Goddess of Fortune, Mother Lakshmi, and the message is universal. Just like as you say, this is. Just the message of Diwali is universal. It is not only for Hindus; it is for everybody, and likewise other religious festivals. I always say this, that all the religious festivals, it just reminds us of the universal message of peace, love, tolerance, compassion, forgiveness, and this is what the real theme of Diwali is.
We'll keep the conversation going in our next segment. When we come back, we'll talk about the holy month of Kartik. So, Dr. Maharaj, in preparing for this show, there were a lot of things that I was able to learn. One of them was that you actually there are certain months in the Hindu calendar. Diwali always falls in the month of Kartik. Talk to us about the significance of this month.
Yes, it's a very important one, and it's one of the holiest month. Actually, it's the holiest month in the Vedic calendar. And Kartik month, it is dedicated to one, of course, festival of lights, and second is dedicated to Lord Krishna's baby form, and his name is Lord Damodar. And Damodar refers to one who is bound by rope, so at his waist. So Lord Krishna, when he was 5,000 years back, when he was in India to perform his pastimes, when he was a small toddler, around. Then at that time he was very fond of yogurt and butter,
So that's the nickname Makhan Chor that
Yes,
he had.
that's right, yeah, Makhan Chor. So he was very fond, and he loves butter and yogurt. So he used to steal it from the gopis. In other words, the household ladies who were there, he used to go to their houses and steal butter. So once, when his mother Yashoda, when she got tired of complaints from other ladies that your son is a butter thief, she decided to bind him with a rope, and it's a very interesting pastime, and each time Mother Yashoda, she used to bring rope to bind him. The rope was 2 inches short, and no matter how hard she tried, she was unsuccessful. And at the end, Lord Krishna saw the love in her mother, and out of love, he just allowed himself to be bound. And the meaning of that, or one of the things that we learn from pastimes, that 2 inches, it represents hard work, one hard work, and the other one is surrender. So in our lives, hard work is important. We must work hard to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And secondly, at the same time, we should be surrendered to Lord. In other words, prayers is important. So we see these days, again, a message for the young people. They want to achieve, those who are hardworking, yes, well and good. Some of them, they do not want to work hard. They get distracted easily by a number of things, and which we know. But I think the message is that hard work is important, and at the same time, prayers are important. If we work very hard and we do not have the aspect of surrender, then we do not get to our destination easily. We even have to struggle more. But I can assure, or I can confidently say that, because I myself, I practice that. I take shelter of God. I take shelter of prayer, and it does make a lot of difference. Even when times, in this stressful world, when there is too much on ourselves, prayer and meditation just helps us to relax our mind. And meditation, in fact, is scientifically proven now that it helps to relax our mind. And in a number of mental diseases, meditation is advocated as a therapy. So that's about this. In this Kartik month, we worship Lord Damodar. In other words, the baby form of Krishna. And every day, and in fact, there is one group of which is called the Vaishnava tradition. Every day we worship Diya to Lord Damodar, and we sing a special prayer. So that's one festival, and there is another festival which is Govardhan Puja, which is going to take place tomorrow, the next day of Diwali, and that's also a very important festival which is part of the 5-day Diwali celebration that we have. And
so what's the significance of Govardhan Puja?
Okay, the significance of Govardhan Puja, again, just as I said, any religious festival for that matter, whether it be Diwali or Eid or Christmas or Easter celebration, it just reminds us of God and His teachings and His pastimes. And when Lord Krishna was present in Vrindavan, in Mathura district, he performed a lot of pastimes for the pleasure of devotees, and also whenever Lord performs pastime, there's a lot of things there for us to learn from. And in fact, in this particular pastime, Lord Krishna teaches us that respect for his devotees and respect for the environment and respect for Mother Earth. That's what he taught us through this pastime. And the reason why he lifted the Govardhan hill just briefly was because Indra, the Lord of Heaven, Indra, who's the Lord of Heaven, because there was a tradition that the people of Mathura district, or people of Vrindavan, just after Diwali, they were worshipping Indra. But Lord himself, he wanted to stop, he wanted to discourage that practice, and he said, why don't you worship cows and Govardhan Hill? Because Govardhan Hill gives us water, it gives us vegetation, it gives us fruits, and that's where our cows are, grazing. So he said, worship Govardhan Hill, and as a mark of respect for environment and respect for mother cow, he did that, and Indra got upset. Indra got upset, he sent very heavy rain, and so much so that Lord Krishna had to lift the Govardhan Hill, which is like really big, like the size of hill is from here to Nosuri, that's how big it is. So he lifted the hill on his little finger, and he kept it on his little finger for 7 nights and 7 days to protect the residents of Vrindavan. And ultimately Indra realized that the small boy is Lord Krishna himself, and he came and apologizes.
So, since it's been raining this entire weekend, would you say that Indra is mad at us, or he's trying to punish Fiji?
Actually, Indra is very pleased with us. whenever there is big rain, Lord Indra is pleased with us. He's giving rain, and sometimes he wants to punish us, when he gives us too much rain, and that's a reminder that we must be doing something wrong.
It's interesting that we talked about Govardhan Puja. There's the last day of Bhai Dooj that I think we should explore more later on.
Of course. So a lot of Hindus, Fijians of the Hindu faith, will be looking to, take advantage of the auspiciousness of the month of Kartik.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And when we come back from our final segment, we'll talk about what the take-home message is from this year's National Diwali celebrations. Stay with us. Welcome back to our final segment. We're discussing the significance of Diwali with our guest, Dr. Rajesh Maharaj. Sir, thank you so much once again for joining us. And, it is the final segment. We were talking about the 5 very special days of Diwali in the last segment, and the month of Kartik as well, where a lot of Fijians of the Hindu faith will be looking to take advantage. Just the final day that we were talking about, which is, in fact, a Bhai Dooj, the celebration. Talk to us about the significance of Bhai Dooj and what we should take away from it.
Okay, sure. And before, as you said very rightly, that people should take advantage of this month. I forgot to mention that any service, any prayer, or any community service for that matter, going to the temple or going to the masjid, going to the church, any form of worship is multiplied 1,000 times in this particular month. And this particular month will end on the 12th of November. It's full 30 days, end on 12th of November, with a very auspicious festival called Tulasi Salagram Vibha. The holy basil. Holy basil, the tulasi plant, is also very, in fact, it's a very auspicious tree, and she is the mother of devotion. She has a spiritual form in the spiritual kingdom, in the spiritual world. Lord Krishna's pastimes and Lord Vishnu's pastimes, all the arrangements is made by mother of devotion, Tulasi Devi of Vrinda Devi, and in fact that's another example whereby women or mothers are given so much of respect and such a high position. So in fact, I'd just like to say to all Fijians that if Tulasi plant or holy basil is growing in your compound, please look after that plant, because doing so you are getting purified, you are getting devotion. And then of course coming back to Bhai Dooj, or that the last day when the brothers and sisters, they get together, and again it's all about love. Diwali is all about love. It's about love between the two of them, and of course the brother's duty is to guide the sister, protect, if she has any difficulties, be with her, help her, and likewise it's love is always a two-way thing, and respect.
Well, shall we ask you a question on how you would relate this to those who have tried in the past, even just a few weeks ago, to create divisions within the country, ethnic divisions and also religious divisions within the country? What's your message to those people?
Okay. Well, I think I think the universal message of Diwali and other religious festivals applies. Everything belongs to God. We are just here for a certain period of time, and I think important thing is that we must realize that God is one. He's one, and we know him by different names. We Hindus, we know him by Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. Christians know him by Lord Jesus or Lord Jehovah. Muslims know him by Lord Allah. And he is one. And I also, in fact, if I can share for a minute or two, I'm also part of the interfaith organization. And in Fiji Interfaith Sage Organization, leaders of different religious denominations, we sit down and we try and discuss the commonalities amongst different religions. And in fact, it's a very good way to understand one another. So, and that's another message of Diwali that I would like to give, that often we try and think, even when I was small, if I can share my experience, when I was in Form 5, Form 6, I was thinking that Hindu religion is the best. But when over a period of time, when I started to explore religion more, and I joined the Hare Krishna movement, and I started reading books that's available in English, and I got a better understanding of who God is, who religion is, and that I have stopped thinking like that. And in fact, and this is what in interfaith organization we are doing. And I'd like to say that we should encourage this interreligious dialogue. If we understand each other's faith very well, then we will respect and love each other more. And I think this world needs that. Today we see in this world there's so much of fight, because of differences, interreligious differences. And I think that should not happen, because God is one. We know him by different names, but he is the same God, and all religion means to love God and serve God. So to bring that into the perspective of our society, unity amongst us, I think there should be respect of law, and we are a democratic society. It's okay to express our views, but all these hate messages, all these blasphemy on social media, and trying to downgrade somebody, these things, I don't think it is going to help us in the long run. If there is a difference, there is a way to resolve it. Trying to expose it on the social media, I don't think is the right thing to do. We are all one family, and we are all brothers and sisters. So for Hindus, the message is that not only your biological brother or biological sister, but we all are one family, and I think we all should broadcast this message of love all the time.
Thank you so much. I think that's a good way, Geraldine, to finish off the show this evening. Dr. Maharaj, thank you so much for joining us. We know we've kept you from your Diwali celebrations at home, and your wife and your children must be very aggrieved with us for holding you back.
But before we finish, just a quick question. Since
yes,
it is Diwali, of course, everyone always has this one particular message. What's your favorite sweet, sir?
My favorite sweet is gulab jamun.
Okay. But as a GP, we should ask you as well to just give some advice to people.
Yes, well, the health advice is do not overeat, and if you do happen to overeat, if you take a lot of sweets, then drink a lot of water to flush it out. And finally, I'd like to say that I'd like to thank you for inviting me, and I'd like to say and pray that may the light of Diwali shine in our country all the time, shine in our hearts, shine in our society and in our community forever. And happy Diwali to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Maharaj. That's all we have for you tonight. Have a great and auspicious Diwali from the FPC team. We'll see you next week. Good evening.